So we get more and more people coming to us who know they're inheriting and it's affecting their plans. Let me explain. So if you know your parents have got substantial assets and you know you're going to inherit that, it does change the way you think. And I'll give you an example by way of someone who came to us recently. So it was a couple. In this case, they had no kids. They were in their late 40s, early 50s. They came to us and they were earning moderate money. They'd just been doing some businesses that they enjoyed, let's call it passion businesses, and making enough money, but they really wanted to, and they were about to sell a property. They were going to have all this cash. They wanted to start living a better lifestyle. Now they knew they were going to inherit $4 million somewhere in the next, let's call it 15 to 20 years. And that people are often a little bit embarrassed about planning for that, but the two certainties in life, death and taxes. So the approach we take, we say, well, tell me how old they were. And in this case, they were 80s. We said, all right, let's assume they're going to live to be 105. Now, clearly, they went, oh, they're probably not going to do that. I said, let's just assume that for our planning purposes. So that makes us not sweating on it, not being morbid about it, but it's inevitable. So they know this is certainty. That money's in quality property. It's going to stay at a high value. In this case, one of them is they don't have any siblings, so they're definitely going to get it. They know the will, they're executor of the will, so it's about as certain as it can get, and they're happy to plan for that. Now their goal, as people that don't have kids, and this will be different to everyone's goals, is to spend it all, enjoy a good life. They don't want to not work, but they want to be able to pursue passion businesses and interests rather than the higher money-making opportunities that they've done in the past to enjoy a good life. So we did their planning. From the sale of this property, we're going to create an investment pool that will pay them an income, which along with their passion earnings, will give them a couple $100,000 a year so they can travel between their passion business stuff they're doing, live a really good life, knowing that it's okay to run that down. So they've got 3 pots here. They've got the sale of the property pot, they've got a decent superannuation pot, but it's not available till they're 60, and keep in mind they're 50 at the moment. And then they've got the retirement pot, which statistically will probably come in 15 years, but we're going to assume 25 years. And then they've got their house. So in this case, we've arranged 3 cascading income streams. The first is the result of a sale of a property. And that will top up their business earnings to give them a couple $100,000 a year so they can live a good life. That will then kick into super turning on, which will continue that income. They won't actually need to do any business earnings if they don't want to, but they might. But that will be designed to also run down over 10 to 15 years, not to last forever like we're doing with most people. And then the inheritance kicks in and they've got way more money than they're ever going to need and they'll have trouble spending it. So the point of this is if you know you're going to inherit, you should build it into your plan, not morbidly, not sweating on it, not hoping it's going to happen soon, but knowing that it is inevitable because you will be thinking about it subconsciously and it will change what you choose to do because it's in your subconscious. You kind of know it's going to happen. So you may as well formalize that into a plan and get real about it. In other words, you can have the option to retire earlier, to change the way you do your business, to be more passion and less grind, or just to work less, or not to work at all. There's no rules, it's your plan. So being aware of that inheritance and factoring into the plan, having a backup plan. So for that couple I've talked about, the backup plan, if mum and dad in this case live to be 105, there's 5 years they need a reverse mortgage until that arrive. They're happy to take that risk. Their property will be worth a few $1 million as well, so they could easily tap into that for 5 years. But that would require the parents to live to 105. Maybe that happens. And they're happy to take that risk, but they want to live life now. They've seen too many people like we have who work longer than they needed to, and then they're older in retirement and they're not living their best life. Of course, them traveling now in their 50s is going to be far different to them traveling in their 70s. So if you know you're going to get a good inheritance, it's worth investing in a good plan that allows you to really focus on what is a good life for you, what you want that money to be. Now, it's not all people with no kids in this case. Part of the planning for lots of people with retirement is about legacy and helping their kids into property. So it's really personal. So that plan is always about your goals, your dreams, your aspirations. But if the inheritance is real, make it part of the